Hi there. It's just little old me. Well, actually, who's coming out here is hopefully my spirit self to meet your spirit self. Oh, no mumbo jumbo, no ghosts and things, but just the essence of who I am, which is what I want to talk about today. The essence of who we all are is our subject matter here at Suzanne's, our little gourmet restaurant for food for thought, and my table here in the corner with which to regale you with all this fascinating information for, guess what? How to be happy. Now, don't just put that into your kind of, computers. It doesn't say anything, right? It says everything. That's not just a platitude. I mean, that's the essence of why we're here. And if it's not happening, what's the matter? What are you going to do about it? What are we all going to do about it? We don't take it really seriously enough. It's funny to take it serious to be happy, but that's the warrior's path. That's the edge you have to walk down. That's the only way to live. I mean, what else are you here for? Are you here to do a good job? At what? At life. And how do you do a good job at life? As far as I can tell, you just figure out how to be happy. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. Last week, we were talking about the same thing. Actually, we talk about the same thing every week. But last week, I'm going to try to start where we left off last week, overlap a little, and then go forward, which is actually going backwards into the deepest parts of ourselves from which we start to make up this game of life. The place from which, who are you in there? Are you a good person or a bad person? I suggest to you you're a good person. We all are. We get a little mixed up along the way, but returning to that place from which, have you ever looked at a baby and thought it was bad? No chance. And we're all babies, and we're all good. So let's go looking. Let's go on this little journey back to source, back to origin, and see if we can figure out more about how to be happy. So last week we were talking about going this way, not that way, when something happens that threatens you, or that challenges you. And so often when something happens that challenges you, somebody says, gosh, I don't think you should do that way. You'll say, well, the reason I do that way, who cares what the reason is? The subject is maybe you could do it a better way. We go that way into the dead past, into what's over, into what never worked, because that's what we're talking about, instead of going this way, into the future, into the possibility. Well, who's going? That's what we're going to talk about today. Who is going? You have to decide where to go. Who's going? Let's think about it being your spirit self that's going. And let me take this down to some homely examples. For instance, a lady called the other day to sell me something. How many calls do you get from people who want to sell you something? At least one a day, right? Always at the most inconvenient times. And, we're all nice people. We're polite. We go answer the phone. Okay, so I answer the phone. And I say to the lady, oh, come on. She got me out of something, a meeting, and it was important. I said, come on. That's a terrible job you've got. Don't you know that's not really the best thing in the world to do? And she said, I'm only doing my job. I said, get another job, What kind of excuse is that? Do we make excuses for the way we are rotten instead of looking at the way we could be good, which is just the beginning to how we could maybe be talking about our spirit self? Another little homely example. I decided a long time ago, I own a house. It breaks all the time. I decided a long time ago that breaking was a given. It was part of the reality of owning a house. So that every time something breaks in the house, I don't go, well, whatever you go when, I don't get mad. I have myself prepared. Oh, another thing is broken. I knew things were going to break. I knew that a long time ago. I settled it with myself a long time ago so that I got myself out of a place where I had to deal with the mundane, everyday junk that comes up, and I can just stay hanging out in this spirit self on my good days. That's what we're talking about today, anyway. Come visit me, by the way. You want to get a look at at the potpourri, good days, bad days, all kinds of days. If you know what I'm talking about, I want to know you. I say this every week on the show. That's really what the show is mostly about. It's mostly about us, or it's mostly for. It's mostly for us finding one another who know what I'm talking about. And hopefully it's interesting to everybody else too, and hopefully everybody get a little prick, a little new idea they've never had before. But if you really know what I'm talking about, we're not too many of us yet. And it would be nice if we all knew one another. The more of us know one another, the better it is for the creation. So now I want to go on to a really potent example out of domestic realities. And I want to go on to something that might seem more important, although it actually isn't. It's all the same thing. However, I read the paper one day this week in the business section. We have a little article here. Celebrities caught up in $50 million tax case. And we have here some names of people that we know and love. Norman Lear, Sidney Poitier, Henry Mancini, and others. Now, what happened to them? They're just walking down the street doing their wonderful things, for which, believe me, they are busy. I mean, they are fully consumed. They don't have much time, right? Doing the good things that they have invested their life energy into doing. So they're walking down the street, and all of a sudden, from the rear, zap! The guy who put this thing together was not a very nice person. And these are tax shelters, and these celebrities gave this person a certain amount of money. Substantial. They don't deal in nickels and dimes, folks. And all of a sudden, they're in jeopardy. They will probably have to come up with a tremendous amount of money because the thing didn't work. The money that was being protected is now taxable. So they're going to have to pay huge taxes. Well, I looked at this and I thought, I know Norman Lear. I know how busy he is. Sometimes I've called him out and I'm always guilty. I think, oh, he's so busy. He doesn't have, So I'm thinking, does he need this? Well, nobody does, of course, and we all get it. So what are you going to do? Well, I looked at this and I thought, boy, I hope he has a system. I hope that he knows that he is his spirit and not his Maya, not the stuff, not the money, not the products, nothing but his spirit. So that when this happens and it comes from the rear and it goes bang, he doesn't make his life into a vendetta to go bang back and fight. And now, I don't expect him not to be affected. Look, he wouldn't be a human being. All of us, when the blows come, when the unexpected blows come, we reel, we recoil. If we're just beatific, I don't think we would be very interesting. That's not where I'm trying to get to. I'm okay about being a human being. So, what do? Well, you know that these things are to be expected. Even $50 million things. Something, he can afford it. But, well, I know about 50 million, but whatever it is, he can afford it. He's got lots of money. But can't we all afford a lot of the things that happen to us? And yet we get caught up in our principles. Now, there's nothing wrong with the principles. There's nothing wrong with the bad guys are the bad guys, and the good guys are the good guys, and the good guys should win. But it doesn't always happen that way. And what are you going to do? This is life. Well, I suggest to you that what you're going to do is going to go, wow, next. Something like that, So that your life doesn't become about fighting back, about being caught in junk, that you let junk hit you and move through. I wanted to tell you another example. You're not your feelings, you're not your emotions, you are the shiny, beautiful, wonderful thing that baby has when it's born. You are still that, you will be that forever through lifetimes, whatever that's all about. A friend of mine gave me a wonderful, wonderful hit last week. He woke me up. I know a lot, and I forget, or I don't exactly understand how this thing applies to that principle. Well, guess what? I'm a human being, I'm grateful also that I don't know everything because it's such fun to figure it out and such fun to make these discoveries. So my friend Bruce came over. And I shared with Bruce this kind of interesting dilemma. I said, it's funny. As I walk around the world, Bruce, I so often find myself getting affected, uncomfortable, off-center. Sometimes I don't even know what it is. sometimes if I just start talking, I realize all the little things that have happened, you know, the $50 million is in the, you know, the little examples of it that have happened. People's insensitivity, people's cruelty, people's unfairness, injustice, you know. And by the time a few of them have hit you from a few different directions, you know, you don't even know where you are. And we're not even used to really copping to that because we're supposed to be here. We're supposed to be producing, you know, so we carry all this stuff along with us. It doesn't feel good. We don't know what to do about it. And I said to Bruce, it's funny. I don't really understand. I get these feelings, and I don't really feel good sometimes. And then I go spend time with Max. Max is the producer of this show. We spend a lot of time together because we edit the diary that I do the show from, the diary of the notes that I keep about life. And then that's the thing that I'm going to send to you if you tell me, if you call me up after the show and tell me you like them. We have an edited version. So I spend a lot of time with Max at the word processor editing. Max is an enlightened being. Max is very centered. And it's wonderful being with Max. And I find I can walk into Max's place and I can be, you know, in a million different pieces, and I walk in, and it never fails to happen that inside of, I don't know, virtually no time of really doing nothing. It's not like Max therapizes me. We're just together. And inside of no time at all, I am feeling good again. I'm back on center again. It feels great to be alive. So, Bruce said to me, but of course, Suzanne, you are not your feelings. Now, I've heard that for years. And I kind of knew what it meant. And I got it all over again. Oh, I'm this spirit inside. And when I'm with Max, who is also very in touch with his spirit, I can't fail to tune back into mine. Because the truth has a way. The truth knows. The truth just pulls you to itself. If you're around the truth, you can't be miserable for long. Which is one of my basic tenets of this show. I keep saying, get friends. Get friends who are shiny souls themselves. Hang out together. That's probably all you need. We're going to talk more about that on this show. You really don't need gurus anymore, maybe. Get people like yourself. It's time for all of us to come in. It's time for the world to get it. It has to be time because we're in a lot of trouble. We don't have time anymore to just listen to teachers. We have to become our own teachers. And fortunately, there is a great wisdom that seems to be bombarding us at this time. I've talked about some of us being receivers. Those are the ones I want to call me up. And the receivers are getting clearer and clearer. And as we share with one another, getting clearer and clearer, more and more powerful a nugget, many nuggets of beautiful, shiny, gorgeous, pure reality, baby reality, spirit reality, with which hopefully we can grow a new world. Because the truth knows, the truth is powerful. As more and more of us tune into it and to each other, the rest will just have to fade away. Is that I promise? No, that's I hope. How's I promise? Whatever it is, I promise. So, now, talking about friends, I want to talk more about friends. I've been experimenting for a long time, so maybe I know some things. Maybe I've thought about this a long time anyway. I want to share with you what I think. This is my soapbox, my gourmet tidbits. I do believe that what the quality of these friends, the kind I'm talking about, they are what I call emotionally responsible. That means that they are concerned for the impact of their words and their presence and their being. They are not going through the world indiscriminately spewing whatever they spew and take it as you will, which is okay for you. You have to do that. You have to take it as you will. You have to take the $50 million well. But you don't have to be the person perpetrating the fraud. And you don't have to hang around with people who do that sort of thing. Hang around with people who are emotionally responsible, and it goes faster, and it feels better. Lessons are okay, and you need to get them, and they're all opportunities. But, you know, don't hang out in the madhouse. It's tough. Give yourself a break. Hang out with wonderful people who are emotionally responsible. One thing we've been talking about this week is we're looking for people like that in the show. Have I said this yet? We're talking about the show being trawling, like in fishing, you know. Yes, in the boat or wherever you are, and the line is moving along, and all of a sudden, oh, landed one. Wow. So I'm trawling for you. If I've landed you, get your pencils ready. Write my number down. Oh, there was a wonderful song. I just wrote myself a note here. I produced a project called Challenge for Champions, and a lady named Wendy Barrett made up our theme song. I don't sing too well, but I'm going to sing you a couple of lines. We're making it all up, so it might as... Oh, no, this is awful. Wait a minute, I'll try again. We're making it all up, so it might... Nope, so it might as well be wonderful. It came out right in the end. Maybe we'll get Wendy on here someday to sing it for you right. But it's true, we are making it all up. Make it up with wonderful people and make it up wonderful. You have that choice. I want to move on now to a department. Our department is Messages from Central, where people other than myself, who are receivers, have gotten a hit and who say things that are very wise. And I collect them for you.
Suzanne, I'd like to interrupt you for a second.
Yes, that's the old snake charmer, Max. Yes, Max?
One of the things I think that our viewers might be thinking about right now, well, gee, where can I find people like that? Where can I find
My house,
friends?
Max.
Exactly. Where can I find friends like that? I mean, in the local bar, at the grocery store? Well, here's a real opportunity for them to call or write. So there's no excuse.
Absolutely no excuse, Max. Are you finished?
Yes.
Yay! This was a birthday present. Is that you and that me, Max? Or I don't know who it is. That looks nice, doesn't it? Yay!
Are we playing leapfrog?
Yeah, we're playing leapfrog. No question about it. That is how we do it. You say something great and I climb over you. Well, we'll talk about that some other day. That's a wonderful image, actually. We have talked about it. Talk about it some more. We talk about it as being each other's doorways. I walk through you, then you walk through me. Every time I'm wise, I'm a mirror that you can just kind of dive into and find yourself, find the wisdom in yourself. So, all right. Oh, we were on Messages from Central. So you got me all mixed up, Max. You know which end was up. I wanted to start with something that from some people that I spoke about last week. I read some of their stuff last week. This is their annual letter. They're wonderful people. They're called the UV family. They call themselves transformationalists. All they do is wander around spreading the good word. They call themselves God's eyes and ears on the world. So anyway, what they talk about, this is in keeping with being spiritually, emotionally responsible and being your spirit self. Come out, wherever you are. Well, come out, for heaven's sakes, from behind the mask of teachers if you can. If you can't, stay there. Teachers are wonderful until you don't need them anymore. We get mesmerized, though, and we stay much longer than we need to. So the theme, one of the big themes of their letter, I'll read from it. While specific spiritual groups, trainings, or teachers may be a useful entry point and the space of nurturance for higher consciousness, there comes a point where one either moves beyond the educational phase or gets trapped, stifling the natural expansion of spiritual energy. Some groups use the term coming home for someone finding their way to the fold, for there certainly is a sense of deep relief, like taking off a tight girdle in finding a loving space to relax and just be. Ultimately, though, home is a place to come from as you go out into the world. At most, the training or spiritual education school is a way station, a bridge on the journey from fear to love. Without the commitment to graduation, however, spiritual education can be merely a front for recruitment into just one more club. So we support people in graduating from outgrown forms into personal responsibility. This is the time for each of us to stand on our own 2 feet and think for ourselves. Now I wanted to read to you from Terry Cole Whitaker, wonderful also teacher and minister. She says, when we don't get what we want, we go out looking, seeking satisfaction from the world outside and trying to make things work instead of accepting and going to the source within. We can have passion without lust. Passion is about following your heart. It's about enthusiasm, fondness, and excitement. We all want passion in our lives. That ecstasy and high energy experience is what living is all about. Now we have here something from a book called You Are a Rainbow. To triumph over insecurity, you have to become totally free of the need to possess anything. Hi, Norman. You don't need that money. It's okay. It's better to be happy. If you do not own anything that you couldn't walk away from, then misfortune has no power over you. The real triumph over the drive to possess and to secure ourselves is to trust the universe so much that you actually become one with it. And then you live in the universe as if God were well pleased with you and will give you everything that is for your good. Isn't that sweet? And then I have just a little thought here that an old friend of mine gave me. A diamond is nothing more than a chunk of coal that made good under pressure. So we're here. Come out wherever you are and make good. Be your spirit self. Get it together. The real purpose of life, from the Hope Foundation newsletter from Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. The real purpose of life is to grow eternally into the greater good. Aim to fulfill this purpose, and evil of every description will disappear. There's no wrong in the world that demands our attention. See, Norman, you don't have to pay attention. Just let it go. The good alone deserves our attention. And when the good receives all our attention, evil cannot exist anymore. Build for the right, inspire every soul with an irresistible desire for freedom. Think of the good, speak of the good, work for the good, live for the good, and the good only, and your life will be a light wherein darkness can never be. Oh, I love these things. Well, Robert Mueller, who is the Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations, blows your mind because that's who he is, who's an enlightened being, says, let's see, over the years I've become a deeply spiritual being, full of admiration for the Lord's creation, and I feel I must help build the planet of God. That's the United Nations speaking, the Assistant Secretary General. I'm going to do a lot more on him. He's an amazing, amazing being. And then Einstein, you know who he was? A human being is part of the whole called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion, to embrace all living creatures and the whole nature in its beauty. Well, again, lots more beautiful thoughts that I don't have time for. But all of this about being our spirits, being together, being united, being one. What else is there to do? What else is there to do to give you our high-octane hit of the week, another department? And what that is this week, I want to suggest a great game to you. The game is carry flyers for this show. If you want to have fun with people on the street, if you want to talk to people about what really matters, if you want to meet a cute guy or a cute girl, woman, well, for heaven's sakes, walk over and say, have you seen this show? If you know what I'm talking about and if you like it. Shouldn't we spread it around? Isn't this for all of us? It is, you know. This isn't for me, folks. This is for us. That's all there is. So be in touch. Call me at the end and I'll supply you with flyers. And if you've got a place to display them, like a store or someplace where traffic comes in, all the better. Let me know and I'll give you a supply. So what I want to do now is leave you with, no, I'm not leaving you yet. I'm giving you a homework assignment. I am leaving you with a homework assignment, but not leaving you yet. Okay. Here's your homework assignment. I want you to do something scary. Something you've been putting off. You got a stack of stuff and the one on the bottom. Go to the one on the bottom. Oh, you just didn't know what to say to this person, or you're supposed to file the suit in small claims court. That's the one on my bottom. It's like, I don't want to think about that. It's mean. It's ugly. I don't want to have anything to do with it. Do it. Now, here's how you do it. Well, here, I'll give you a clue. You go this way. You know, going in, you've made a prior decision. Everything's okay because you're not your body, you're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, you are your spirit. And your spirit can't be violated. It's great, it's wonderful. It can do anything. So very intentionally, pick up your piece of junk, knowing that it cannot get you. I promise you that's all you have to do. All you have to do is make a deal with yourself. Make a deal. Alice talks about it. My friend Alice, we have a Garden of Eden at our house. We've had all the people in the garden on the show. They'll be on the show again. We're trying to figure out how to do it together. We'd love to share with you, by the way. That's what I'll talk to you about if you visit me or call me up or read my notes. You'll find out how to create a Garden of Eden at your house where you can all be your spirits together, where you can all be one together, where you can be loving and happy. So my beautiful friend Alice says, she talks about, let's make a deal. Make a deal with yourself that you recognize that you are your spirit, because of course you are, and that nothing can get you, and then try it. Try it out. Try it out in that consciousness. You'd be amazed at how you can walk through life unaffected by what you thought was going to get you. The boogeyman won't get you if you make a deal with your spirit, with yourself. Now, I want to read to you also something wonderful that I found. I have not the faintest idea where this comes from. It's beautiful, though. I read you a Pledge of Allegiance when we did our Benjamin Franklin show on what a master Benjamin Franklin was that nobody else knows. And I read you a Pledge of Allegiance that we in the Garden of Eden made up. We were just laying around and somebody said something, and all of a sudden we were off and running, making a new beautiful pearl for the world. And I was going through old materials, and I found this beautiful pearl. So it says, I pledge allegiance to the rainbow and to the elation for which it stands. One circus, one ringmaster, with balloons for all. Now, if your name is Earl Newman, is he a songwriter? That's Randy Newman, right? Who's Earl Newman? I don't know where this came from. This is not my handwriting. It does say Earl Newman on the bottom of it. Credit where credit's due. Hey, Earl, if you're watching, call me up. I love your Pledge of Allegiance. It's absolutely wonderful. I mean, it's real fun. If you guys got anything good, send it to me. You know, my diary is full of things that people send me, full of things that other people say. It's the most wonderful things I can find. So you send me yours. You can, by the way, win a day in the Garden of Eden if we have a contest going. That was an earlier high-octane hit of the week. A contest for people who send us what we called good information for the body of knowledge. How can we be happy? How can we be loving? How can we do all these things I'm talking about here? If you have hot tips, you send them to me. We'd be delighted to have you spend a whole day in the garden with us. Also, have a Suzanne party, if you will. That was another hit. We'll bring our videotape. I'll come if it's convenient. I'll bring my friends. I hope you live someplace good. We'd love to play with you. You just call me up. What else? I think I told you everything I have to tell you, except, is it time to open? No, it's not time to open. I can tell you, so I can read you another wonderful thought from Richard Moss, back to a message from Central. He says, I believe this state of consciousness that I am attempting to share with you, he, by the way, is an MD doctor who turned spiritual healer. I believe this state of consciousness that I am attempting to share with you is the next step. People have to learn about their interpenetrating nature, their energy connection with every other person. If we are going to stabilize the rapidly changing world, which is still an interpenetrating network, we have to give up our image of winning and protecting personal territory and discover the exquisite states of consciousness in which we are blended in an unconditional sense of communion. Be there with me. And all the folks who are coming into Suzanne's now. It's time to open the restaurant and let us all be together in an unconditional state of communion. What else is there to do? Have a good week. Call to find out when the Cosmic Fuel Pump will be on next week, and call or write if you want me to send you a copy of my written notes.